Let's watch popular YouTuber David Pakman go from excited to disappointed on election night. This stream was a lot more data dependent than some other ones I've covered on this channel. However, it is hilarious in its own right, including some very funny trolling from MAGA, which came in on his chat room.
And here is, I think, the message that I want to start with. If indeed we defeat the scourge or scourge that is MAGA today, and we set it to the dustbin of history, okay, as Ron DeSantis would say, it is the start of 4 years of opportunity to make Kamala Harris the most progressive president that we can make her. And we will celebrate that it's the first.
So this is a common theme that happens on his stream. He seems as excited to sell his own stream, explain why, whether Trump wins or Kamala wins, you should continue to watch his channel. He seems as interested in that as he does in covering the election itself.
It's the first woman president, and we will say this was the right result, and then we get to work, okay? On the other hand, if indeed MAGA prevails tonight, then we are going to be up against 4 years of some of the most high-stakes defense that you can imagine. And I know that there will be an instinct to tune out if Trump wins. But then in January, we need to get to work because the defense is extraordinarily high stakes.
And as you'll see at the very end of the video, when it's confirmed that Kamala wins, his first instinct is, oh no, I'm losing members, I'm losing viewers.
So far, mostly everything as expected. Some early signs that could be good for Kamala Harris. Some early signs that could be potentially good for Donald Trump. Harris can lose Georgia. If she gets Pennsylvania and gets North Carolina, where she's leading right now, she's fine. She's fine. And I know people are seeing light blue Texas. This happened last time. Let's wait on Texas. Ohio with 31% reporting is Kamala +7. That's already starting to become an interesting number. But if she were to get some combination of Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Texas, I don't even know why we're talking about Texas. I don't believe she will ultimately win Texas, but there are other paths here. She wins. So I know that there are people that are panicking already in my audience. 4 years ago, I told you, I will let you know when to panic. We are nowhere near any time needing to panic. Let him win Florida by 12 if that's what he wants to do.
So as I mentioned at the start, his stream was a lot more data dependent than some other ones I've covered, but there still was considerable bias as evidence how he frames the race here. And in the next clip, he just totally disregards the betting market odds.
Let's review it once again, okay? Look at this map. Look at this map. This gives Trump Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, okay? It gives Trump all of that. Harris wins, okay? Harris wins this scenario. So what we really need to be looking at, start with this map in your head.
This is not, though, a good mental model for the race, even before. But at this point, some of the data, a lot actually had come in to the race. He has Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all going blue. It doesn't make any sense to just give those to Kamala Harris as a starting point in your map.
A couple other super chats. David, what are Kamala's chances? You've got to wait and see. Actually, let's update the betting market numbers just to see where we're at. Donald Trump's odds are continuing to skyrocket. They were just at 63%, and now they are at 73%. It's not exact because it's a betting market. These add up to more than 100, but very roughly speaking, this is predicted. Over on Kalshi, Trump's odds of winning continue to climb to 73%. And then on Polymarket, the Peter Thiel funded thing, they continue to climb now to 78%. I don't believe that this is a 78-21 race right now. To me, this is still 50-50.
That is insane. How can you say that with a straight face to a pretty large audience all watching you? You think that it's 50-50 when betting markets are saying, what did everyone say, 73 roughly? This one at 78. That's pretty irresponsible, in my opinion. As you'll see, he gets a text like maybe an hour or so later from somebody saying they're putting money on Kamala.
A super chat says, what happens if House, Senate, and White House go red? Are we in an apocalypse scenario? If all three go red, my recommendation to you is move to a blue state.
I mean, not much says out of touch more than that. Just move. And by the way, that happened. White House, Senate, House, all went red. I wonder if people listening to the stream have moved yet. And as you'll see, as I said, the trolly MAGA comments that come in, this streamer, David Pakman, sounds to me pretty out of touch.
I'm told there may be a reversal now in the polling markets. Let's take a look. Predict it steady, Trump at 73. Kalshi steady. Let me refresh in case you need to. Kalshi steady. Oh no, Trump at 74, 72. And then Polymarket Polymarket is now seeing a reversal.
That's a reversal? It wasn't even 2%.
Is very interesting. The peak here that we saw for Trump of 78, it's actually starting to reverse. And I think the reason that it's reversing.
Look, that's not very interesting to bring up. I don't think a 1, maybe 2% swing. Trump at this point, 72, 76, depending on the market, still a clear favorite to win. I don't know if that's that interesting. To David Pakman's defense, though, at least he's actually pulling up the betting markets.
It looks good, Alex, and I don't want to get ahead of anybody's. I don't want to get ahead of the ball. I don't want to count the chickens before they're hatched, but It's looking very good, and the markets are reflecting that.
So listen, the conspiracy people are convinced that Trump is going to win this thing. Is Trump?
That's not what he said, though. He said it's looking good, and I wanted to add this clip just to show you at this moment in the night, it was looking very good for Trump.
If Pennsylvania falls to Trump, it is must win everything that's left for Kamala Harris.
And you see he has Iowa in that map still blue.
You never want to be in that scenario. But I want to restate, I see people in the chat assuming Pennsylvania is dead. Pennsylvania is not dead. With 51% reporting Trump's, oh dear God, with 51% reporting Trump's lead is 75K. Yes, that's the biggest lead he's had tonight, but we are still expecting massive, massive dumps from the cities of Pennsylvania.
So I don't know if he said it that way to be funny or if that was just accidentally, some accidental comedy. So here's some of those Trump troll comments now that are pretty funny. You can see on the screen here. David Pakman addresses this in just a second here, but it's over, dork. Mega 2024. Dork, by the way, is a pretty underrated chirp.
102K is Trump's current lead in Pennsylvania. Listen, if it's true that when they count Philly and when they count Allentown and all of the mail-in ballots are counted, there's a 600,000 vote margin in there for Kamala Harris. We'll find out very soon. We'll find out very soon, and it'll be great news, and we're all going to learn that before you know it. Let me address the it's over dork thing. You know, I understand that I'm the one here with the channel and the show, right? I understand that. So in some way, people see me here, and they're like, oh, you suck because Trump wins. Or if Trump wins, you are the one who will cry, or whatever the case may be. Is it okay if I'm frank here? Would that be fair for me to say? I'm just going to be frank. This really isn't about how it affects me, right? Like, I'm not the one with a boss that might lay me off.
Again, to that out-of-touch comment he said before, if Republicans sweep everything, oh, just move. This, what he says here, incredibly out of touch.
I have a successful independent business that, to be honest, it'll do really well probably no matter who wins. But with Trump back at the helm doing terrorific stuff, it probably does better, right? Like, I want Harris to win in some wacky sense against my best interests. It's the people in red states who won't have access to contraceptive or family planning services. They are the ones going to suffer. It's the clowns in who knows where whose child tax credit is going to get sliced rather than increased, right? So the idea that I'm the one who loses if Trump wins, honestly, it's probably more the people saying this stuff to me that are really the ones that lose if Trump wins. I'm going to be fine.
Look, in my opinion, it is incredibly cringe when someone with a public persona, especially if they're in politics, responds to a comment like that with, "Oh, well, I'm rich." The guy called you a dork, and then he replied with, "Well, I'm doing pretty well financially, so whatever." Like, respond to him, call him a dork, or do something in the realm of politics, what's being discussed. Say, "Oh, I don't think Trump's tariffs are going to work, blah, blah, blah." Don't just reply with, "I'm rich." At least MSNBC and Rachel Maddow, when Trump wins, they'll throw on some Trump derangement syndrome. They don't just sit around the panel and go, "Well, we're all wealthy, so whatever."
I see people in the chat. David's so upset. Pakman is seething. David, are you going to cry tonight? I don't know how many times I can explain this to you. This really isn't about me. I'm going to be fine, okay? I'm worried about other people.
Again, oh my goodness. It's so out of touch, but just don't say it like that. Like you're doing a political show. Respond with something political. Don't be like, "I'm doing well." It's so off-putting, in my opinion, anyway.
People. Like, Trump will probably lower my taxes. I don't deserve a tax cut. It's not economically stimulative. I'm just going to put the money in a bank account. It doesn't make sense. I voted for Harris because it makes sense. It makes sense. I do want to say
Look, it's just one person, but if they start talking people like that in independent media is just going to become the out of touch legacy media a lot of people claim to be against. So here he gets word one of his friends is putting money on Kamala on Polymarket.
Let's go through what some of my friends are texting me. One of my friends is panic buying Polymarket shares for Harris and asking me, what do I really think the odds of a Harris win are? This is crazy. I'm not giving people betting advice. He says he thinks 60-40, but intellectually it feels like 70-30 Harris. I have no idea, honestly, is my response. I mean, I don't want people making betting decisions based on this.
So I think it's good David Pakman clarified that. And I want to be clear that even before, when David Pakman was like, "Oh, I think the market's actually 50-50, it's still the responsibility if someone actually bet on Polymarket. It's still their own personal responsibility. It's not David's. I just think it's somewhat irresponsible for David before to be saying that. It's also just so arrogant because you're basically saying, "Oh, my analysis is so much better than this large betting market with a bunch of market participants. Not only is my analysis better, it's off by 20%. It's a pretty arrogant thing to say, really."
These super chats are funny. Someone just paid $2 to say democracy has spoken. Trump, you're fake news. And it's always the wrong "your." They just can't get that right. I'm the one who has been getting criticized by my audience for saying, "Guys, Trump really might win this thing," for months now. So I don't know what I said that's fake. One of the scariest things for me, it's like, listen, Trump's a doofus. If he wins, we're going to figure out what happens on foreign policy, what happens on economic policy, all this stuff. But the idea that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to be overseeing the FDA and the CDC, and that is absolutely terrifying.
I'm not exactly sure why so many leftists are so against RFK Jr. The US in 1960 spent 5% of its GDP on healthcare. Now it's closer to 20%. It's gotten so much more expensive. Americans have gotten so much sicker, yet some of these leftists seem to defend the status quo on healthcare. Okay, so he ended the election stream before the official results came in, or maybe only some of them, whatever, but he did not acknowledge that Trump won that night, at least. Here's a clip, though, where he does acknowledge Trump won. Notice how it seems like his biggest concern is just people are unsubscribing from my YouTube channel, especially cringe, given how his rebuttal to all the Trump troll comments was, "Oh yeah, I have a lot of money."
The show, everybody. It was a very long night and I completely lost my voice. And now Just kidding. I wouldn't do the show. I wouldn't do the show if my voice were that bad. I am tired. My voice is strained. It was a long and sadly not a positive night, but I am here. Let me just say right up front, I know what so many of you are feeling. I'm getting the messages from some of you that you're tuning out. We are seeing the cancellations. We are seeing the people unsubscribing.
Look, again, to me, this is a very tough look. You're covering politics. In theory, you're supposed to be caring about who won. The fact that you're saying, oh, my bank account, my members are leaving, you should be basically coming on, you're being like, saying to your supporters who probably like Kamala, hey, it'll be okay. Maybe in 2 years we can win back the Senate. Just talk about how politically they're going to navigate 4 years. Your first thought is people are unsubscribing from my show. I mean, ugh.
Here is my plea to you. Give me the next hour before you finalize that decision. Let's see if we can get a shared understanding of what needs to happen. Let's see if we agree as to what the next steps are. Give me the hour. There's plenty of time to tune away and never pay attention to politics again. We have time for that. You can decide that in an hour or 45 minutes if you listen at 1.25 speed. And then let's make that decision. So let's start with the obvious. No way to sugarcoat it. Very bad news. Failed former President Donald Trump is poised to become a failed president once again. Donald Trump has defeated Kamala Harris.
And look, I'm obviously fine with people making money and having a business and stuff, but just the first thing that you say following the election is, hey, don't unsubscribe. Keep watching, please. I don't know. To me, that's off-putting. Let me know in the comments what you think. I think the focus should have been on what happened in the election. Again, like pleading to the Kamala supporters about how to be engaged over 4 years or maybe get involved in local politics or basically like how to deal kind of with a Trump presidency. Again, assuming that he's speaking to people who are upset at the fact that Trump won and the Republicans won the House, Republicans won the Senate, and so forth. But anyway, with that said, I'll finish the video here. Thank you very much for watching. I still have a few more planned in this format. Again, thank you for all the comments. Thank you for everything. Have a great day. See you in the next video.